Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of FREIBA Watchlist, where we discuss stocks that our community is looking to trade. We then post that watch list in our chat room every morning before the market opens, and that way you can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. And we have more details for some of our members, so definitely follow, share, like, and subscribe, and we'll be happy to help. Also, we answer questions for our community throughout the day in our chat room as well. So click the link in the description and don't miss another opportunity. All right, so per usual, get started with the SPY. Today was an interesting day. So we had a pretty big kind of sell-off yesterday, profit taking from all-time high. So the market hit a new all-time high, or at least the SPY, at 473.54. That's on the intraday basis. And today you had an initial kind of bounce out of the gates, then a dip, and then the market rebounded into the close and kind of settled within this range that we had identified here. So let's just take a look. So we talked about yesterday, right, that previous all-time high. Then today you had spike out of the gates, then this pullback, so shorts took over, and consolidation throughout the day, then a rebound back towards the high of day area, right around this 468. Now, take a slight step back to the hourly chart. You can see here that it's in the bottom of this channel that we have drawn here. So yesterday we broke up and above, and today we're kind of we did spike down a little bit below this trend line, and it's kind of it's interesting because it bounced. So a lot of buy volume came in. As we mentioned, they were expecting a lot of volatility this week, and mainly we have a short week here with being Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving coming on Thursday. You have kind of a weird day tomorrow, historically, in terms of volume. One thing that we've been looking at is that a lot of the smaller, cap companies, smaller floats have been moving pretty quickly. So we've definitely taken advantage of some of those trades. And on Friday, you have a half day, which technically ends and closes at 1 p.m. So short week, a lot of people are going to be traveling, taking time off. So like as we anticipated, it's going to be a lot of volatility in the market. So this is kind of where the SPY is right now. In terms of what we expect tomorrow, we do look for, or we will be looking for, this 469 break. Similar to today, that's one thing we talked about, was that to happen, but we're looking for it to kind of rebound. The challenge here is that we technically have this shorter term downtrend, but because of the buying that happened today, we do expect more consolidation in this range. So we do want it to stay in the upper 460s, kind of above the 465 threshold. So that's again what we talked about here. So we're going to be looking for, again, some more volatility tomorrow over the next couple days. So that is a SPY. So now we're going to get into some of the tickers that specifically we received questions on, some that we traded today, and a couple that were on the watch list. But again, that watch list is posted every morning before the market opens, so make sure you tune into that and subscribe. So first ticker we'll talk about is one from the watch list. This is XPEV. So this is a Chinese EV company that had earnings this morning, and the reaction was super positive. So we identified this trade and early this morning, posted it on the watch list before the market opened, and it had an amazing morning. And even into the close here, it kind of bounced back up and back over VWAP, and it's trending higher. So we're going to be looking out for some continuation setups in this thing. But we identified this early this morning, and this thing, it had a really nice bounce. So it initially sold off right? So that initial dip, and that was to about 47.50, and then it immediately rips to a high of 54. I mean, almost a parabolic move here, and stalled right at 54. So we were playing this, and so congratulations to anyone that took advantage of this trade today. This was a really nice move, and again, nice bounce into the close. So strong close, and so it's kind of setting up for potential continuation over the next couple days. But that is XPEP, and that again is a Chinese EV company, XPEV. All right. Next we have Go EV. We've been talking about this and had it on the watch list before. We looked at it yesterday. Really nice move. After hours, it squeezed up, and so we put it on the watch list as we were looking for a continuation. We got some profit taking, but then a really nice bounce. So this would have been a really nice dip buy. You have the reversal here right around 10.87, almost $11. But from the lows, you had about $1 pop, and so we're going to continue to watch this as it moves back towards the $12 level. There's been some news in this company. It's an EV related name, so EVs are hot right now. So we're looking for some continued buying in this name. Now, it's almost a cup that kind of completed here right around 12.50, and this essentially is the handle that we're looking to have be completed here, and so a curl up is what we're looking for. But at the same time, we do have a couple peaks here and a couple wicks that we can look to potentially play this to the downside to this lower target level at 9.67. So GOEV is definitely going to continue to be on watch, but it was on the watch list, and so whoever caught that bounce today, really nice trade. So that's GOEV. All right, and so let's get into a couple of trades that we did take today. First is KTTA. This was a pretty big mover today. So this had a low of $2.10 yesterday and a high of $8.50 today. Amazing move. Now, this all happened today, around 5 a.m. and started today at 5 a.m. So again, yesterday it had a low of 210, and this morning, this thing just exploded on news. So it initially popped to over 100% at the high of 643, pulled back here in the pre-market, and so you had a falling wedge or a downward channel here, breakout over the pre-market highs, and this thing, it ripped. I mean, it had over 180 million shares traded today. Super difficult to trade that type of volume on something that's relatively low float and things of that nature, but this is a great scalp opportunity, and the scalps presented themselves a few times. So we did trade it first thing in the morning. This was on our watch list before the market opened, and so again, congrats to anyone that caught this whole move. But we traded it a couple times this morning, and it was really a couple nice trades there that our team had, and others in the community definitely benefited as well. So again, congrats to everyone on this trade. But like I said, this was on our watch list this morning before the market opened, mainly because of that impressive move. But we saw it started to curl here and consolidate into this ascending triangle, and that breakout that happened here. So it's going to be a couple levels that we're looking at for tomorrow, 450 being one of them, as this broke down again. And so we're going to look for some more volatility and people looking to get back in to potentially play this to the upside again. But this was on the watch list, and took a couple trades on this today, and it worked out really well. So we're happy with that. Next is Burlington Stores. So this was also on the watch list, and had positive earnings, and so we were looking for this out of the gate. So again, congratulations to anyone who took advantage of this. This was a pretty massive move. It was had a low of 269 and ripped all the way to $290. So just a little over $20 move. And we also played this in the afternoon for the high day break. I believe it was, I think it was right around here at 285 for the high day break. And yeah, and we exited pretty nicely at the top here. So we got exactly what we're looking for. But Burlington stores, there's like Burlington Coat Factory, for example, is what I think the stores used to be called, and now they're just Burlington stores. But this was a really, really nice reaction from their earnings, and we played it beautifully today. So definitely, again, congrats to everyone that took part in this trade today. Next, we have Merchant Biosolutions. So we talked about this last night here on YouTube, and they just got put into the S&P Mid Cap 400. So pretty good news. It actually takes effect in basically the end of the month on November 30th. But we were looking to play this volatility because the news, was pretty significant, and it had an interesting chart pattern that we talked about yesterday. And so there was a potential for the gap to start to be filled here, because there was a gap from about $41 to $50. And so pretty massive gap. And with this good news, we're anticipating buying, and that's exactly what we got. So we got a nice pop out of the gates here, and then on this dip, we played it. We actually added a couple points, just kind of creating this range. But what we're looking for is this continuation setup and some more bullish activity into the gap. I mean, we do anticipate, because there's the holidays, there's going to be some volatility, but also with the fact that there's a gap, there may be some downward pressure, and also, again, the S&P doesn't take effect. The S&P mid cap or small cap, mid cap 400 doesn't take effect until November 30th. So again, we do have a few days, a couple days trading days to anticipate the enrollment. And so there are some buyers getting in now, but again, there may be some profit taking, and that'll allow for funds to start to get into this a little bit later. But again, it looks great, but we're in this right now, and we're looking for that break of 43. But again, we'll play the volatility. We like the fact that they're included. So this is one, short-term volatility, but we're also looking for the opportunity to take this to the long side for a longer period of time. And so this is definitely going to continue to be on watch, but we are in this right now. And that is EBS. Now let's get into some of the tickers that we got some questions on today. So Apple, as you can see, this trend line, this area that we identified, charted, basically it is consolidated and bounced off of it a couple times today, about 3 times. So we do see this curling action here, and similar to the SPY, it had sell off in the morning and it curled back up into the close. So again, a lot of buying, so decent bullish activity. You do anticipate this level to be pretty significant. That's basically the 160 level, and so we'll be watching that, specifically 159.51, which was our previous upside target, one of them. And again, there's actually we talked about this earlier, but the 165 level at the highs was definitely surpassed our expectations, but it was a great move. And so now you kind of have it coming back to a relatively, kind of more decent level, and it's less extended at at these levels, and so 160 and 160 to 162 is more reasonable, and it's more in line with the current trend. So we were looking for some consolidation. We got that today, so we're going to look for Apple to kind of continue up and touch this, touch and break the 162 level. But again, we'll keep an eye on the SPY with the overall market. If things continue to pull back, then that may be what happens here. And as we go into, the holiday week, with Friday being a short day, we could potentially look at some puts to the downside. So Apple's going to be on watch, but again, had some questions here today. So any questions that you guys have, just go ahead and shoot us a message in chat, and we'll be happy to help. Next, IONQ. So IONQ, so a pretty interesting move today. We were looking, it popped on the radar early in the morning. Let's see, it's around 10 a.m. So it popped, and then it broke down below VWAP, popped back above VWAP, and this is kind of where we really started to pay attention. And so what happened here was a nice pennant formed and a breakout to the highs, broke over $25 and had a high of about $25.60 and change. So we're going to be looking for this moving forward for some more action, and this is a nice spot for it to bounce. So the next level for it to break is $26, and we have a couple more upside targets, as well as some downside targets as well. But again, we'll be playing the volatility on this. This was IONQ, so super interesting mover and a nice bounce today. So this is definitely going to be on watch. All right, next we have silver. This is SLV. It's a silver ETF, which is commodity silver, precious metal. And we identified a lot of sweeping activity. So initially it was puts that were being swept, and today a lot of call activity. So an interesting level here that we identified, which is 2188. It broke that and seems to be kind of basing out here, but it was a nice bounce, and there is a gap, so we're going to be looking for that gap to be filled. Not right away, but there's kind of back and forth shift between the correlation between gold, silver, and other precious metals, and Bitcoin, and so we're looking at the potential correlation between the two moving forward. So a lot of people don't like to pair the two, but it is a fact that they are correlated and loosely correlated. So again, but watching the flow, a lot of call activity, so we're going to be looking for some continuation to the upside into that gap that needs to be filled ideally. You have some wicks here, typically the gaps in silver fill, so we'll be looking for that continuation to the upside as we go along here. But you do have a slight trend, a newer trend that's forming here. So again, SLV, we're watching. Real quick on Twitter, we talked about this yesterday, but we were looking for this to get a little bit lower than 46. It cracked 46 and hit a low of 45.98, but it was just 2 sets. So we're looking to acquire a position a little bit lower than 46. But so we're going to continue to watch this, but it was a nice action here. I mean, it was curling action. We had some sweeps come in, and so we identified that there was kind of a bottoming activity. So hopefully this is kind of the bottom for Twitter. And $47 is where it closed at, $47.14. But super interesting. Again, one of the catalysts that Twitter has right now is that they are looking to create a live shopping experience. And so we thought that was pretty intriguing. It was also kind of bad news for Pinterest. So if you want to take a look at the Pinterest chart, by all means, go ahead. But the catalyst again is pretty similar, and it was news related to Walmart that was with it. So that seems like a pretty good opportunity for Twitter. And so we're looking at the downside to start to slow down. But again, we do want this a little bit below 46. But if we don't get it, if the price action doesn't call for that, then again we'll play this in whatever direction it's going. We're not going to fight the trend. But currently it is in a downtrend and it is slowing down. And so hopefully by the end of the week we'll probably get that under 46. But that is TWTR Twitter. All right, a couple more here. So LAZR, they're a LiDAR company. They had some news. One, someone was it was on the wire. They were talking about this price target of $30. Ironically, it hit $30 in pre-market a couple weeks ago, about a week and a half ago. So we were looking for this trend initially to kind of be upheld. It broke down below it. But with this reiteration that we heard today on the wire, we're going to be looking for some pops in this name and kind of trade it to the upside after it kind of settles in here. So this line here is, well, we're probably looking at around 1720s. So that'd probably be a good place for us to pay attention to. And again, we'll be looking for some bounces here. So that is LAZR. And that is Luminar Technologies. All right. Next, got BNTX. So this was on the watch list when it made that massive move, $30 move yesterday, and today we had some profit taking, but a nice bounce off of those 290s level. So it was around, it didn't quite break down to 291, which is good. So technically it's a higher low, and curled into the close, and it's forming somewhat of a wedge. So we'll keep this on watch for continuation to the upside. One of the catalysts is that Walgreens is now rolling out the booster shots, and BNTX plays a big part in the supply chain for some of the vaccines. So this is definitely on watch, and we caught this massive move yesterday, and so we're looking for some setups to continue to the upside. And that's on BNTX. That's final. And lastly, we have FNKO, which is FNKO. So nice bounces on FNKO today. Interesting news. So they announced that they're going to be launching an NFT based on Star Trek. So there's a lot of Star Trek fans out there. I think they call themselves Trekkies, but the Star Trek has a massive fan base, and a lot of buyers came in the afternoon after this news came out. It was so it kind of just crept back up and moved up here, and so we're kind of looking at this level here at around 1725, 1750 to kind of squeeze and break out over this $18 level. And so we have a couple targets here, one being this 1950 and the other being $20. Naturally, it's kind of a psychological level to the upside on FNKO. This is definitely on watch. NFTs, obviously blockchain, it's part of what we pay attention to, part of our DNA. And with NFTs projects being getting a lot of attention here, some are very hyped up, but there's others that can have some really good value. And Star Trek, already has a community, and that's one of the key aspects to NFTs is the community. And so we're definitely going to be watching FNKO moving forward for sure. And Speaking of communities, again, click the link in the description. Join our community. We're growing pretty fast, but we're looking to help people build wealth. I mean, that's the goal of Freebase. It's one of, part of our mission, and we're available on all platforms at Freebase. So definitely like, follow, share, subscribe. And that is it for Freebase Watchlist. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And please don't forget to click that thumbs up button. And we'll see you guys soon. Have a good one.